Hey, today's Defi and welcome to my solo D&D actual play series, Tales of Fool's Gold. In this episode, we meet our first PC, our Pathfinder, as he sets out to explore layers, dungeons, and anything of importance to sell on. We look at the map for the first time, we create it and explore. Just a heads up, I'm about to make some mistakes, but I will include a text box whenever I do to correct myself. Hope you enjoy. Okay, here we have our region, and if you're wondering, I am using an app called Paint 3D for this because I don't have any access to any virtual tabletops or anything, and to be honest, this does just a job. This does just a job just as well. Okay, so let's explain what is going to happen here. So, on this region, there's going to be different tiles that we can have for dungeons, settlements. We're going to change the colour of each of the hex to a different terrain that we're going to roll in TSAT. But like I said, I'm going to take this one bit at a time. So without further ado, obviously we have also as well, I have the life level index chart. This is from Outdoor Survival. I will go over this in time. But I think first things first, let's create our first PC. Right, okay, so I am on my favourite website of all times, 5e.tools. Basically, it's a 5th edition compendium that has a lot of the books, a lot of the races, classes, items, that kind of stuff. So let's explain exactly what a Pathfinder is. A Pathfinder is a non-combative class that is going to be exploring and is going to primarily try to avoid danger in combat. So for this, I am not going to be giving them a combat class. So no warlock, no rogue, fighter, stuff like that. However, what I am going to do is I'm actually going to randomize our race. So through this little button here, feeling lucky, for example, if it'll come up. Yep. So here's how it's going to work. So I'm going to use the Arrow Croaker here as a example. Now we've got ability scores, which is Dex +2, Wisdom +1. I am going to be rolling the stats because it's going to come into effect later on with certain choices. Of course, I'm going to incorporate any speed, like 25 feet and 50 feet and stuff like that. I'll explain about that once we go over the rules of Outdoor Survival. Any combative abilities, like talents for example, I am not allowing. However, any abilities or features that involve movement or just non-combat use, I will take and I will try and convert it to a way where it will not be as direct in terms of combats or anything like that. So for example, I did have a good example. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, what was it? Yeah, like for example, the half-orc, right? Where is it? Half-orc, is that the one I'm thinking of? No. Okay, yeah, for example, this one here, Relentless Endurance. So when you're reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. You can use this feature again so you finish a long rest. Now, I do have a different version of this if I ever got a half-orc, because the way Outdoor Survival works is the Pathfinder can only survive X amount of days in terms of mental. This was what was used in Song of the Mapper with a 6-sided die. The minute that die drops to 1 or 0, the PC or the mapper was done. Like that was them like mentally broken and they turn feral and savage. So what I'm going to do instead is, instead of like going for D6 kind of thing, if we get to 0, the Relentless Endurance allows the half-orc to have 1 more extra day out in the wilderness. Stuff like that. So let's start randomizing. So I'm going to randomize 4 times, and on the 5th time, that's going to be our race. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so we got Dragonborn gem. Okay, so we could choose 2 and 1, or choose 3, we'll decide that in a second. The gem ancestry, I don't think it's going to matter. The draconic resistance, I could do something with that. I mean, we could roll on this to determine what it is. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so let's roll a 5. 1. Okay, so it's an amethyst, so it's force. So draconic resistance for force damage. I'll have to think about something like that. Silent mind, you send telepathic messages to any creature. You don't need to share a language. This could work in terms of Yeah, because we do get an encounter, because we can get encounters out with Outdoor Survival. Basically, stuff like this will give us an extra option, to avoid the encounter, so we can go Silent Mind and maybe roll Persuasion or Intimidation, depending how I feel, to be able to maybe send them on the way. So obviously it depends on the creature, because if it's a humanoid we can talk, but if it's a monster we can't, so we'll have to think about that. Gem Flight. Yeah, Gem Flight we could probably do as well. Flying speed equal to your walking speed. There is terrain that can halve your movement, such as like forests and stuff, so Gem Flight could be something to use to skip all that, to make it where it can move full. So that's interesting. Okay, so we have a Gem Dragonborn, a Amethyst Dragonborn, very nice. Right, okay, so now we get to roll stats. Now this is important because different stats is going to allocate how things will work. See, in the Solo Adventurers Toolbox, there is wilderness events that can happen, and they will normally ask for some kind of a check. So obviously, to me, the Pathfinders won't have any proficiency in any of the stuff. I mean, I could go with the backgrounds, because backgrounds can offer 2 proficiencies depending on which it is, but I'm not going to go into that. That's a bit too complex. Maybe for the next Pathfinder we'll see. But I want to keep this up, or I want to keep this as straightforward as I possibly can, not only for you guys, but for myself as well. Okay, so I'm going to roll. So I'm going to roll 4 times, and on the 5th one, that's going to be our stats. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 16, 13, 13, 11, 10, 7. So we're going to randomly assign. Nice. So we got 13 strength, 11 dexterity, 16 constitution, 13 intelligence, 7 wisdom, and 10 charisma. So then what we're going to do is we have +2 and a +1. Or we can go 3 across 1. Well, let's make this even more random. Let's go D2. So I'll choose 3. And then we'll go D6 for 3. So let's give 1 point to constitution. We'll give 1 point to dexterity. And we'll give wisdom 1 stat as well. Awesome. Okay, so our final total is 13 strength, 12 dexterity, 17 constitution, 13 intelligence, 8 wisdom, and 10 charisma. Nice. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a character sheet ready, and I'm going to get a token ready for our Pathfinder. Right, okay, we have our first Pathfinder. So we have Galdrin Rorin, basically a randomized name that I came up with. Right, okay then, so if you're wondering, the images I'm going to be using for the characters, I'm going to be using Night Cafe and other AI image websites. They'll be in the description if you want to check them out. I always tend to use AI imaging for my characters. I mean, I understand there's a bit of a moral choice behind it, but I don't really associate myself with all that anyway, so I'll just pick an image and use it. Okay, so let's get proper started then. So, first of all, we have our life index. This is from the Outdoor Survival. So, the way this works is, what's best to explain first? The movement or the... No, we'll go from life index like I mentioned. So, at the end of a movement phase, what happens is, we'll do a couple of consecutive rolls, and what's going to happen is, basically, at the end of every movement turn, our water and our food goes down, like so, right? And down here is our life level index. This dictates how much movement we have, and of course if we get to 0, I mean, I'm pretty sure you know what happens. So, start, place water index and food index counters at representative start here spaces, place all persons counters on respective letter spacings. During play, move water and food index counters downward to the right, only at the end of turns in which a player's current day needs are not satisfied. When passing downwards through trigger points, lose that number of life levels. When recovering upwards, gain that number. So basically, if our food is here and our water's down here, because we passed the life level, we move this token down and we can only move 5 spaces. So really, we want to keep our food and our water up as much as we can. Now, with Outdoor Survival, you also have 5 other scenarios that you can choose from. This is the one that was used in the Song of the Mapper, and is the one I'm going to be using myself. So, regarding this, we're not going to pay attention to this, but instead we're going to look at the direction ability and the necessities. So, the direction ability, we roll a d6, and if it's a 1 or 2, we start in any direction, but we must move in a straight line. no direction change permitted as far as possible. So with our 6 movement, we can move 6 hexes upwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Simple as that, right? If we roll a 3, 4, or 5, start in any direction, after moving 1 or more hexes, you may make 1 directional change if desired. Move as far as possible, subject to movement allowance. So we can make 1, I think we can only make 1 and that's it. Yeah, but if you do a 6, we start in any direction, after moving 1 or more hexes, you can make as many directional changes as desirable. You are not required to move at all and may move less than your current movement allows. Now, the only thing is, I'll have to switch over to the PDF here, if I can find the correct one. There we go. If we switch over to Adult Survival, here we have a... yeah, we can see it, perfect. Oh, wrong one. Okay, so here we have our column. So, damn it. Sorry, where is it? There it is. See, I use my my mouse wheel to control the flow on Paint 3D. So the different terrains, right? So clear terrain is 1, woods 2. So this is the amount of movement points it costs to go through that terrain hex. And luckily enough, with TSAT, we can do all these. So we move from woods, that's 2 movement points. We move through clear terrain, it's 1. Mountains is 3, rivers is 3, swamp is 4. There's forwards. There's catch basin base and food source. I'm not taking these into effect, but I'll talk about these in a second because I'm not recording all these in one go. I'm going to be doing a batch recording for an episode at a time. But I have had different ideas regarding these 3. I'll talk about them in a second. And we have trails. The trails we're not going to be using because I don't think TSAT can do that. So we head over to TSAT, and as you can see, we have terrain tables. We have a terrain table for Arctic, and we can decide what terrain is going to be. So, like for example, desert. We've got continuing desert, oasis, small mountain range, monster layer, which would be pretty cool. Forest jungle. But the cool thing is, if we go further down as well, I mean, with swamp, we also have a minor feature table. So, for example, if we rolled on swamp and we get, say, a rocky alcove, so we go down to the minor feature for rocky alcove. I think there's one. I think. No, there isn't. Oh no, there is. Lake, monument, oasis. So there's oasis, rocky outcrop. So what we do is we could roll a D100. And this will give us a random event that can happen. So, for example, if we rolled a 72, 77 is a rocky outcome with is actually an island in the middle of a lake. We're rolling a lake table. These minor features are going to be saving for the party, not for the Pathfinders. So the Pathfinders, if we go from tile to tile, we'll roll onto the major features or the overarching terrain instead. And then at the end of every movement phase, we'll roll on whether we're in the terrain, and then we can mark it on the map as a lake, a small wood. And if our party lands on one of those, then we can roll this and determine what it is. Okay, so that's just a general thing of what's going to happen. There is other things I'm going to be doing as well. Also, necessities as well. So you satisfy current day needs if you pass through or end movement on a food hex. You may also recover 3 steps on the food index by remaining stationary for the following 2 turns on the food hex. Now this is the important one. If you satisfy current day's needs and you pass through or end movement on a catch basin or stream hex, you can also satisfy current day needs by simply rolling a 1 or 2 on a die, and then the movement on a non-water hex. So if, for example, we do get something like a lake or a river, then yeah, then basically we don't need to bring our water down, but it also depends on the TSAT roll. But all the time we will be rolling 1s and 2s. Now, regarding the food one, I do have an idea for the food one. So I mentioned about the bases and the basin catch. What we're going to do is going to do this. On the TSAT, we can roll settlements, unmarked settlements, which will be a settlement for the map, and parties and map Pathfinders can head to the settlement. If a party goes into the settlement, we can roll a settlement type, and we can have like merchants so they can buy things as they're passing by, right? Guilds or whatever. For Pathfinders, however, I've decided what I'm going to do is it's going to allow them to gain a total of D4 food index. So D4 for a potential life level up, if possible. I don't know, D6. I think I might make it a D4 for now. But if we do come up to here and we're about to lose food, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a survival check. I'm going to roll a survival check to the... Let's to go up here. Right, so we're on page 16 of TSAT Part 1. And then regarding the survival check, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a survival check DC to find campsite, right? But instead of just renaming this, I'm going to reflavor it to hunting grounds or to finding food or something, right? But if we're in a forest, DC 6, coastal 8, 8, 8, 6, 10, 12, and 14. So this depends what it is. I might increase this to double the value, I think what I'll do is, no, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Roll a survival check, and what it is, it's going to be basic for possibly, yeah, so it's going to be basic, just the default ones until we get to maybe round 3. If it gets to 3, I can only imagine that our food will be down to maybe about here or so, right? And then what we'll do is we'll double the DC check to gain food. That's what we'll do instead. I'm thinking of this on the fly as well, but yeah, I think that we're going to be doing that. Of course, as well, if we find a settlement, we'll roll on it, and we can have a large camp, caravan, cottage, large encampment, hamlet, station, garrison, fort, village, encamped army. Yeah, nature of unmarked settlement. There's some things that we can do. Okay then, right, let's make a start then. So, here's how we're going to start. So, we're going to place our Pathfinder on the board. So, the way we're going to be treating this is akin to Minesweeper. We're going to move the Pathfinder around, and while he's moving around, we're going to be marking terrain, settlements, monster layers, and potentially finding dungeons, right? What we want to do is, when the Pathfinder's found the dungeon, or we're out as much as we can, we're going to leave the same way. However though, here's what we're going to do first. We're going to choose or roll a terrain type, as I showed you before. Yeah, we're going to roll a terrain type. I'll do this as I'm going down. And then, what I'm going to do is from there, I'm going to roll a d20. And this is going to determine... And the d20 is going to determine how much of the area is that terrain. Because eventually, I do want different terrains as we're traveling through. Because it's going to open up more chances and diversity within the type of monsters we're going to be facing and the different types of dungeons as well. For that, we're going to roll a d4. We're going to decide which side the Pathfinder is going to come out from. So we're going to roll a d4 like I mentioned. Okay, so we've got a 1, which is going to be from up here. So we're going to go clockwise. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's start all the way over here then. Now, personally, I'm not too fussed about the what side we're going to start from, like, or what corner of the map. I'm just basically just going to pick. I think for story-wise, I think the best thing we'll probably do is probably start... Let's start here. Right in this hex here. We'll make it a little smaller, so it'll fit. There we go, I like that. He came from the north on a boat, and they dropped him here. Before going back to whatever civilization or closest inhabitable island or town there is. Okay, so we're going to start Galdrin right there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to roll. Let's get the... There we go. Let's get that on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to roll a d8. Okay, the reason why I'm going to roll a d8 is because the 8 terrains that's available is Arctic, Coastal, Desert, Forest Jungle, Grassland, Hills, Mountains, and Swamp. You can choose which one you want, to be fair, but to be honest, I like it better rolling, to be honest. And not to mention, nobody stepped on this continent, so we don't know what the terrain's like. So let's go to our dice roller. Let's roll a d8. 2. So we have Coastal. Okay, so we have Coastal. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to switch back to our map. Perfect. And then what we're going to do is we're going to roll a d20. This is going to be the radius from the Pathfinder's origin of how much that terrain is coastal. Now it kind of makes sense if we start here. That's pretty cool. So I'm thinking we'll do it from a 20 range out the way. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that kind of stuff. So let's do that first. Let's just roll d20. 19. So 19 tiles is coastal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now obviously 19 tiles is going to be quite long for some places and short for others, but basically this entire place is going to be coastal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill all this out with a corresponding color. Right, okay. I filled the entire area in a coastal terrain. I'll put a link in the description. I found a raw boulder file, whatever you want to call it, full of hex tiles. So yeah, I'll put them in the description as well. They look pretty nice actually. Okay, so yeah, so we've done a 4 tile radius, I think close to as possible. I mean, there is water, but I'm going to class this as water. So yeah. Right, okay then, let's finally get started then, right? Okay, so what we're going to be doing is, we're going to be playing something like a Minesweeper kind of movement, and we're just going to pick a direction. So what we're going to do is, we're going to roll a d6, compare it to this, and this is going to be our direction. So let's do that then. Let's roll a quick d6, and let's see what we've got. Okay, 1. So 1 is simply starting in any direction, but you must move in a straight line only, no directional change permitted as far as possible. Right. So we can move 6 tiles. So we can move either down or up, as long as it's in a straight line. Now, the coastal tiles, now if we go over to, go on, there we go. If we go over to our PDF file and go to the chart, these coastal tiles I'm going to class as clear terrain. So we can move, so it only takes us 1 moving point to go through. Okay, let's move 6 bases then. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go up the way. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that we're in a new portion of the map, I'm going to do a few things now. So we'll do this in order. First of all, our food counter goes down. That's the end of the day. So let's move this down. Now we need to roll a d6 to see if we can find food. See if we can find water. So the 1 and 2, we find water. So let's have a quick look. So d6. 1. So we do find water. Awesome. So this means that our water counter does not go down. So we can still move 6. Now, the next thing we're going to do, which is on the PDF. Now I'm going to try and do this a little slow so we can understand together, because this is my first time actually like testing this in practice. So we're going to get our PDF up, and we're going to go up to... Okay, now that we've done the water and the food business, now we do a wilderness encounter check. So we roll a d6, and if we roll a 5 or a 6, then we get an encounter. So let's do that first. 1. So no encounter. Perfect. So the way the encounter would work is, let me get the board back up. So the way it would work is, because the Pathfinders are non-combative classes, if we were to get an encounter, we would randomize the encounter somehow, I think, either through TSAT or through an encounter build or whatever. And then what would happen is we would have to do a stealth check to the enemy's perception check. And when it comes down to it, before we do, we roll 2 d6s, and basically whoever rolls the highest, well, we'll do it this way. We roll 2 d6s, a 1 to 3 means that they're surprised, and a 4 to 6 means that they're not surprised, right? If, for example, let's say we got a wolf as an encounter, right? Let's say we got 2 wolves, and we roll a 5, so we're not surprised, but they roll a 2, means they are surprised. So with my conversion rules, that would mean that for our stealth roll, we're going to roll with advantage, and their perception roll means they roll with disadvantage. So that means we roll with advantage, they roll with disadvantage. Now, if our stealth roll is higher than their perception roll, basically that means that they haven't found us. So that means that we could stay on the same spot. And then that'll be the end of the movement phase, and then we go to the next phase, right? But if their perception is higher than our stealth roll, what happens is a chase begins. So what we do is we roll a d6, and from clockwise, from this position being number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, wherever it lands on, say we roll a 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have to move in that direction, right? And then we do another stealth versus perception, and if they find us again, we have to do another d6, and basically that's the chase sequence until we manage to beat them in a stealth check. And then once we beat them in a stealth check, that's them gone. But here's the danger. So we started here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, so we started here. So, however though, in between, what's going to happen is this. We're going to lose food and water. This is the dangerous bit. Because to us, that's going to class as, I'm going to say that's going to class as a day, right? So that's going to class as a day. So yeah, so we will lose food and water. So obviously, you know, we can check for water when we're fine, but our food will go down and yada yada. The other important thing I need to mention is this little d6 here, right? This little d6. I did write, I think I did, yeah, I did write 6 here, right? This d6 is going to represent our mental capability. This is how many days that we can survive before going feral. So when that d6 goes from 6 to 0, that's an automatic game over. So not only is it the food and water we need to keep an eye on, but it's also this. This is the main thing. The life index is just determining how far our movement is. With this is the main bread and butter right here. So what we're going to do is this. If our d6 is about to run out, we do a Constitution saving throw, which in this case is +3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a DC 50. So, oh, sorry, no, excuse me, no. We're going to do death saves. There we go, success and failure. At 0, we'll do a DC 10. If we get above 10, that's success. If it's a failure, if it's below, that's a failure. No, that's the wrong one. So yeah, it's a failure, success, a failure, right? If we manage to get a success, what's going to happen is this 0 goes back to being a 6. Now, another way of getting that back up to 6 is if we find a settlement, which is very rare, but it can happen. So think of it as our second chance. Now, if we manage to get 3 successes instead of 3 failures, if we get back to the d6, right, to 1 6, what's going to happen is the DC for the checks increases by 5. So we need to get a DC 15 next time. So 15 above, success, 14 and below is a failure. Now, this is where experience is going to come into. Now, I'm not decided how I'm going to allocate experience yet, but if we can get to 2nd level, 3rd level, 4th level, this 1d6 is going to turn to a 2d6, 3d6, and 4d6, meaning that we can survive longer out of here. So that's my plan, to say the truth. So yeah. So because we've ended our turn, we now write 5 in there. So now we have 5 days left. Now the final thing we're going to be doing is doing our dungeon check. So we're going to roll a d6. We're going to roll a d6. Get this up. Oh shit, I forgot to hide the numbers. Shit, I think I'll bring the numbers back up. There you go, there's the ones of the ones. So, what we're going to do is we're going to roll a d6. On a 6, bang on, we found the dungeon. 3, okay, we haven't found the dungeon. No worries there. So now, it's the back of the first turn, and here's the thing. We found a new piece of land. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll another d8, and it's going to determine what terrain it is. Okay, it's an 8. So this means that we have... I can get this up. Perfect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Swamp. So now we have a swamp. And now we're going to roll a... And we're going to roll a d4. And it's going to determine how many tiles. 4. So another 4 mile radius is going to be swamps. So I'll saw that in a second. Right, okay, so I have filled in these swamp tiles. But there was one other thing I forgot. So, D6 roll for the dungeon. I've also decided to do a Q&A thing as well, to determine if there's going to be a points of interest within our perception range. So, what I mean by perception range is, so whatever our perception modifier is, this case is -1, but it'll be a minimum of +1. This will determine if there's a POI in a hex tile radius, or X hex tile radius. So because we have a minimum of 1, is there a POI, points of interest, in any of our radius or range? Now to determine this, let's put that away. Nope, let's put this away. So we'll go back to our PD. So we'll go back to our PDF. So we're in swamp, right? If we go down to the minor feature swamp table, if I can find it. Actually, what is it for swamp? That's a good question. For swamp, it's... No, it's not this one. Waterway Lake, Rocky Alcove. So what I was thinking was, I was going to include a d6 roll. So here it says 1 to 2 structure, 3 to 4 monument, 5 to 6 interesting landscape feature. So what I'm thinking is doing this. A 1 to 2 is hunting ground, a 3 to 4 is a settlement, and a 5 to 6 is a dungeon. So it gives us a second chance. But only if we do a Oracle Q&A. If I can find it in this other one. So only if we do an Oracle roll. So a 1 to 6 is no, 7 to 12 is maybe, 13 to 12 is yes, right? But instead, I can't find it. I'm not going to go through detail too because I don't want to make this too long and flabbergast too much. But basically, a 1 to 9 is no, 10 is a maybe or a skill check, 13 to 12 is a yes, so, or 11 to 12 is a yes, sorry. So let's do that now. So we go to a dice roller, a bit of d20, and 16 is a yes. So now we roll a d6, 2. So we have a hunting ground, perfect. So we have a hunting ground. So now what we're going to do is we're going to roll another d6 to determine where this hunting ground is. 2. So hunting ground is right here. Right, okay, so we have our hunting ground right here. So, I've not thought of the rules of the hunting ground. I'm not totally too sure how much food you get back. I'll have to double check that. That is if we actually land in it. So now, yeah, our thing's down to d5, and now it's the beginning of the turn again. Alright then, so let's roll another d6 and let's see what happens. Okay, d6. Alright, so we got a 4. Now this means, so starting in any direction, after moving 1 or more hexes, you can make 1 direction change if desirable. Okay, well here's the thing, I don't want to venture too forth into the area. The reason why is because I want to get it out. I want to get out in time. So instead, let's go back the way then. So we can make 1 turn. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right, let's go to that tile then. Let's see if we can try it. Because one of the things we need to do, because I was going to talk about it if we manage to get a map, and we manage to find the dungeon. The way we leave off the map, because, you know, we have to leave off the map, we can't stay here. There's 1 or 2 exfiltration rules I'm thinking. Either 1, we'd leave on the same tile we came in, so it's this one, or we leave on the same side, as the number we rolled. So, you know, if we're over here, we can leave this way. As long as we're off the map, he's safe. Or 3, we find a settlement, and he can end in the settlement, and he can stay there then. And then, or she, the Pathfinder, whatever, the Pathfinder can then resume their next adventure from that spot. That's what I'm thinking. So it kind of gives us warranty to sort of explore over the map, so we don't have to worry about coming out here. So it's fine that way. Okay, right. So let's see if we can find water. Do we find some water? 1, yes we do. So it doesn't do anything. Our food index goes down. So here, let's roll encounter. 5. Right, so we get an encounter. This could be really good or really, really bad. Right, okay, so we're on Kassoon.com, KASSOON.com. It has a combat generator or calculator, whatever. Of course, I'll have all the links in the description to different things I'll be using. So here's what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to roll a d4. This is going to determine the difficulty of the encounter. So we have easy, medium, hard, and deadly. Obviously, we don't want deadly because here's the thing. We're going to be chased left, right, and center. Now, we're not going to be fighting these. 4, so it's a deadly encounter. Okay, sweet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go party size 1. We're going to be party level 1. And I don't know how to... done here. And then we're going to roll deadly. Right? So... yeah. So as you can see... But here's where things are going to happen. So we're going to go to any environment, and we're going to go to coast. Now, the minimum CR, I'm not entirely too sure what to do with the minimum CR, because we can get access to CR 1/8, 1/4, so, but to be honest, I'm just going to take the first person, or the first monster that we're going to get in this, and I think that'll just be our primary monster we're going to be running away from. So let's roll random deadly. Alright, dolphin. Yeah, a dolphin in deadly, huh? Who would have thought? I mean, AC 12, strength 2. I don't know what makes dolphins really, really hard, but sure, we'll take a dolphin then. So, we have the dolphin stat block. So, we've got perception +3, which is going to be really, really hard since our stealth is going to be +1. But first of all, we're going to do something else first. We're going to roll another d20, because what we're going to do is we are going to ask the question, is this their monster lair? So 1 to 9 is no, 10 is maybe re-roll a skill check, we'll decide, and 11 to 20 is yes. Okay, so this is their lair. Nice. Okay, so this means that we can have a party coming here for an optional dungeon. Or this could be the dungeon that they go to. A coastal one, which makes a lot of sense. Okay, so now this is where things are going to get proper bad. So, before anything else, let's roll a surprise round. Or surprise rolls. So, are we surprised? So 1 to 3, we are. 4 to 6, we're not. Okay, we're not surprised. Now, the question is the dolphin surprised? 1. That helps. That helps big style. Because what this means is... Oh shit, I got the wrong one on, sorry. Here we go, sorry, I got the wrong one on. Okay, sorry about that. You will hear my commentary. You'll hear my commentary at some point. Basically, what we did do is in terms of rolls, you'll see the rolls being happened. But we found that this is their monster lair. And the cool thing is, we're not surprised, but they are. So this means that because we're not surprised, we can roll our stealth check with advantage, and they roll their perception check with disadvantage. So, if we survive the stealth check, that means we stay where we are. In this tile right here. This is just a marker to tell me where the monster lair is, and I think that's where the party's going to go first. But if they win their perception check, what's going to happen is they're going to start chasing us. So let's roll perception checks now. Alright, let's roll now. So we're going to do D20 plus 1. The stealth check. So we've got +1 modifier for stealth. It's 15. I will roll it again. I will take the higher of the two. Okay, so we got 20. Wow. Perfect. Okay, and then going to the dolphin, the perception is a +3. So that's what the proficient in. So we add a +1 from the modifier and a +3 to making it a +4. So we're rolling a D20 +4. So this could be really bad, but because we're rolling with disadvantage, they take the lower of the two rolls. That's a crit 20. And now the D20 +4, 17. So our 20 stealth. So our 20 stealth. Oops. So our 20 stealth beats their 17 perception, which means we are safe and we are not moving. Which is amazing. Now, the cool thing is, we do our dungeon check. Great, it's not. Okay. So let's roll our POI, points of interest, check. 3, no. Okay, so there's no dungeon and no place of interest. Okay, awesome. So let's roll this down once, which I think I've done. Yep, I've done that already. And now, simply we score this out and go 4. Perfect. And now we can get rid of the dolphin. Goodbye. Okay, next turn. So now we have a location of the monster lair, and we've got a location of a hunting ground as well. Now it's time for us to head back, because obviously we don't want to spend too much out here, so we have two different rules. We'd either infiltrate from the same hex we started, which I believe is here, I think, or we could just go off the board, which, depending on our roll, is pretty much it. Okay, let me see if I've got it up. Yep, I have. Perfect. Okay, let's roll d6. 5. 5 means start in any direction. After moving one or more hexes, you may make one direction change. And I think for simplicity's sake, we're going to go to here. So let's go. Okay, let me just move that tile out of the way for a second. Perfect. Okay, so let's go 1. Actually, can we do that? 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but we're on the water. Oh no, we started here, didn't we? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we can. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they're on the boat, and then they're off. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, so that's pretty much how it's going to go. That's pretty much how it's going to go. So we discovered the location of a hunting ground, and we discovered the location of the dolphins' monster lair. So the monster lairs, I'm not decided. Okay, so yeah, so basically the monster lairs, I've decided that the monster lairs is going to be that specific dungeon for that monster. So we're going to be fighting a lot of dungeon. We're going to be fighting a lot of dolphins, which could be good or bad depending. I don't know whether I'm going to be mixing up the creatures in the monster lairs, but I think I might just make it the same creature that we come across before. The dungeons will be the ones with the mixed monsters, I think. I'm not too sure how I'm going to run it. I'm still thinking of different rules and maybe changing alterations and stuff. But yeah, so next episode, we'll create a party and we'll go hunt ourselves some dolphins. Yeah, that was the pilot episode to this. I did end up making a mistake with the perception roll for the dolphin, as it was supposed to have a +3, not a +4. The 1 was included in the roll, but we managed to evade it. I'll still be learning and rethinking things as I'm going along, but that's the main foundation of the exploration part. Next episode, we'll create our first party and do our first quest into the dolphin's lair, see what treasure we can get our hands on. Also, I welcome any suggestions, criticism, or feedback, so I hope to see you next time. Take care.